Shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to start off this video by saying, Call Halayim La Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai Ba'ashim Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops of the great millstone that rule well and teach well, where I learn is truth, the 100% truth according to the Bible. Also want to say shalom to the Lord's elect, the 144,000, the men, prophets, servants scattered abroad, the four winds of the earth, and shalom to you Akwathium as well, which are you few sisters out there that are sincere in your children, shalom. And in today's lesson, I'm going to title it, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And I'm going to be titling today's video that, building off of this quick video that I'm allowed to play here. As you can see, I have on the screen that was uploaded by the brother, the Hopeful Elect 3. You know, and as you can see from the title of the brother's video, it says prophecy is in your face. And we're definitely living in a time of prophecy that's coming to pass, right? So with that being said, I'll allow this video to run. It's a pretty quick video, so we're going to allow it to play, and then I'll grab some scriptures. And Lord's willing, it's edifying to you brothers and sisters out there that may come across the video. But with that being said, we're going to get into it.
Why does the world feel biblical right now is what I'm currently titling this one. Because everywhere you look right now, it feels like the world is falling apart. We all know about the wars that are occurring, economic instability. I just heard about a bunch of layoffs occurring, virus outbreaks, that cruise ship right now, natural disasters. And for a lot of people, it's starting and genuinely feeling biblical, like we're living through Revelation itself. You know, you open your phone and what is it? Another war or another update on the war. An outbreak is occurring. You know, the headline is another headline telling you civilization's on edge. And I think a lot of people are quietly asking themselves, you know, the same exact question: why does everything suddenly feel so different?
Right. And as the guy said in the video I allowed to play, which it was a quick video, but yeah, man, you know, like the guy said, man, these people here in America and throughout the world, these people can see that things in the planet Earth feels different, right? And like I titled today's video, Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. What we're watching take place here in the earth is a downfall of a kingdom, right? This place, America, Babylon the Great, these Edomites that are ruling the earth in wickedness, right? Because as it tells you in Job 9:24, the earth is given over into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof, if so were, and who is he? And we know that to be Esau, Edom. He's the one that's ruling things here on the earth. But his time of ruling things in the earth in wickedness is ultimately coming to an end. And that's why you see all of these various things in the earth happening. Like the guy in the video mentioned, you know, he said the pestilences that are spreading and everything else that are going on, right? Because we know, you know, our Lord Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, right? He gave his disciples at the time, which later on became apostles, minus in Judas Iscariot, he gave them the signs, right? The tokens of what would be happening in the earth, ultimately leading up to the end of this age and his coming, right? And we see all of those things happening now here in the earth. All of these things prove that this world, right, this aeon, right, because that's what that word world means, you know, in Matthew 24:3, which I'll just read it. It said, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world, right? And I'm actually get that word world, right?
Strong's G165, I own.
Right? And the word world is aeon, right? And when you go down into it, it goes into a period of time, an age, right? So yeah, man, the age of Esau ruling things here in the earth, his kingdom is coming to an end. And that's why we see all of these various things happening in the earth, right? Which I'm a list of things that are going on, man, that we all see happening, man, right? Everybody sees these things happening. Everybody sees it, man. You know, even our people, they just choose to ignore it. You know, a lot of people like to, you know, stick their head under the sand and try to act like they don't see what's going on in the world. But these people see, man, right? And Yahweh Shai answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. right? And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet, right? And why is the end not yet? Because there's still prophecies that has to play out before the destruction comes, right? Because we know World War III is going to lead to a nuclear war that's going to ultimately bring forth the destruction of Babylon the Great and ultimately bring down Esau's hegemony, his rulership, right? But before that happens, guess what? There's still major prophecies that has to come to pass first. Ultimately, the RFID microchip, which is the mark of the beast, it has to be mandated worldwide. Jacob's trouble has to fully intensify, so there's things that still need to happen first before ultimately the destruction comes, right? But it says, for nation shall rise against nation, right? And kingdom against kingdom. And there should be famines and pestilences. You see all of these things going on throughout the world. And earthquakes in diverse places, right? Earthquakes happening everywhere, right? All of these are the beginning of sorrows. Yeah, man. So that means ultimately things are just going to continue to heat up, ultimately leading to the coming of our Lord Yahushua. We're only going to see things in the planet Earth only intensify as far as with evils, bad times, right? And like I said, all of these are signs that Esau's kingdom is coming to an end, right? But let me go to the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 9. And I started verse 1. It said, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, right? And how do you measure the time diligently? By ultimately looking at the scriptures, seeing what the prophecies say, and aligning it with what you see happening in the earth. And we see that everything that Lord Yahushua, which I just read in Matthew the 24th chapter, that he said will be happening in the latter days. We see these things happening. We see it, right? It's clear as day to see. The only thing you got to do is go to the news, look, and you see all of these things happening. The earthquakes, the uproars of the people, the perplexity in the earth, wars, rumors of wars. I mean, everything, man, right? He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest parts of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there should be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, right? Right? Even so, the times also at the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works and endings and effects and signs, right? And we've been seeing those signs, all, throughout the earth, with everything that's going on, right? The blood moons you've been having occurring, these lunar eclipses, everything that's been taking place the last couple of months, last few years actually, but we know that things are heating up more and more because we're getting closer to this devil's end. Right, so we're seeing these signs throughout the earth intensify and picking up more, But let me go to the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 6. I started verse 7. Then answered I said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, right? Verse 9, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And that's exactly what's coming, right? Jacob, right? A kingdom, right? That's going to ultimately be established on the earth by the Israelites, that's going to be ran in righteousness. The kingdom of heaven is going to be here on the earth, right? That's why it tells you in the Adawan Palah, which is the Lord's Prayer in Matthew the 6th chapter, that will be done in earth as it is in heaven. And that's exactly what's going to be done, right? The kingdom of heaven will be established here on the earth, and it's going to be ran by the Israelites, starting off with our Lord Yahushua, right? King David, the 12, and the 144,000. That's the righteous kingdom that's coming to the earth, right? Ultimately, after Esau's kingdom is brought to an end, right? And I'm actually go to Daniel's, the 2nd chapter, man, right? Got to bring that out. And as you can see from the heading, it says the king's forgotten dream, right? Because in this chapter, the king of Babylon, which at the time was Nebuchadnezzar, he had a vision of a tall statue, right? And that tall statue was ultimately all of the heathen kingdoms, right, that were going to rule in the planet Earth, right? All of the heathen empires that were going to come, right? And, in this chapter, it tells you all the kingdoms that came, right? Which we already know the name of them, but, for the newcomers that may come across this video that may not know, right? You have Babylon, right? Which was the first kingdom. Then after Babylon, you had the Medo-Persian Empire, right? Then after them, you had the Greeks. Then after the Greeks, you had the Romans, right? And here we are, right? Because when you go into that statue, it tells you about the toes of the statue, which were part iron and part miry clay, right? Which that's where we're at now, which is, the revival of the Roman Empire, right? Which is the EU and the NATO, which is the beast, and America being the horse sitting on top of the beast. That's where we're at now. This is the final heathen kingdom that's going to rule things in the earth. And what's ultimately coming after this kingdom is brought down? The kingdom of heaven, as I was just stating, right? That's what's coming next, man, right? An everlasting kingdom that's going to be ran by the Israelites, man, right? This is Daniel 2 and verse 44, and as you can see, it says the divine kingdom. That's what's coming, right? And in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. Yeah, it's not going to be destroyed, right? Because all of these other heathens that had their time in ruling things in the earth, all of their kingdoms came to an end, right? But the kingdom that's going to be established and ran by the Israelites is not going to go anywhere. It's going to be everlasting. It's going to be an immortal kingdom, man. It's going to reign, forever in the earth, man, right? It's going to be an everlasting kingdom, right? You see, because it's ultimately going to be established in righteousness. You see, that's the difference between all of these heathen kingdoms and the kingdom that's going to be established by the Israelites, man, right? Because these heathens, all of their kingdoms were established in wickedness, man, right? That's why the Lord brought all of those kingdoms to an end, right? But the kingdom of heaven that's going to be ran by the Israelites is going to be established in righteousness. So it's going to be everlasting, man, right? The Israelites, right? We're going to be immortals, right? We're going to have the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai written in our inward parts, so we won't be able to go off. We're going to be perfect, man, right? The Israelites are, But it says, and in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever, right? So that's exactly what's coming, man, right? As I titled today's video, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So, we're only going to continue to see things throughout the planet Earth. As we get closer to this man's downfall, the more we're going to see things get worse, right? Which is ultimately for the better, because we know that in order for it, which is good, to come, right, the evil must come first, right? Let me go to, what is that, 2nd Ezra chapter 4? Right, I believe so. Right, let me bring that out, because us brothers and sisters of the hopeful elect, that's why we're hastening the coming of the day of our Lord. That's why we're ultimately hastening the day of destruction and chaos, because ultimately, in order for the kingdom, right, it which is good to come into the earth, the evil has to take place first, right? That's why the people in the world, they see things getting worse, and these people are losing their minds. They're bugging the hell out, because this world is all these people know, right? But us on the other end, us hopeful elect, us brothers and sisters of the faith, us believers, hey, we know something better is coming, man. We know that. And that's why, hey, us seeing things get worse and, things in the earth worsening and things getting more intense, hey, we get excited, man, because we know that these are beautiful times that we're in, right? But let me go down. This is 2nd Ezra 4. In verse 26, it said, Then answered he me and said, The more thou searchest, the more thou shalt marvel, for the world, right, Esau's age, right, hasteth fast to pass away. Verse 27, and cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in times to come, right, the kingdom. For this world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities. That's talking about Esau's kingdom. That's what this place is full of. Unrighteousness, wickedness, and infirmities, man. And that's ultimately why, hey, we're hastening for this place to go, man. Right? Because nothing is good in this place, man. Everything's defiled. Everything's wicked. The food we eat is genetically modified, fake. I mean, hey, there's nothing good in this place, man. This place doesn't produce nothing but misery, heartache, pain, and all of this is getting ready to come to an end, man. You see, that's what we're ultimately waiting for, right? As it tells you in 2 Peter 3 in verse 13, nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for a new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness, right? That's the spirit of the hopeful elect, right? Verse 28, but as concerning the things whereof thou askest me, I will tell thee, for the evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come. Right, but it's coming, right? Verse 29, if therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, and if the place where the evil is sown pass not away, then cannot it come that is sown with good. So basically, in order for the kingdom to come, right, which is coming, that's going to be established here on the earth, right? In order for it to come, the evil has to come first, right? Which is, Jacob's trouble, all hell breaking loose. Right, World War III, all of these things that we know is going to happen here soon in these latter days, right? Which we're already in the beginning stages of World War III, as well as Jacob's trouble, but they're only going to heat up more and more, right? Like I said, everything is ultimately going to continue to escalate and to heat up, ultimately leading to the coming of our Lord, man, Yahweh Shah. Right, in this place, America, right, being destroyed and Esau being brought down, man. You see? So with that being said, Lord's willing, I pray this video be edifying to you brothers and you sisters. With that being said, I'm going to end it saying Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahweh Shai, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahweh Shai, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahweh Shai, Call Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rakak Wadash. Till the next time, I'm going to say Shalom to the Lord's elect. Shalom.